What's going on, guys? Mitch here. Today we're checking out the 2022 Specialized Tarmac SL7 Comp. This guy is new to me. Decided to build up a Tarmac SL7 over as a bit of a project bike over winter here. And the Comp model was essentially the only one available in a 61 centimeter size. So what I wanted to do is kind of go do a quick overview with the bike, show some of its parts, and kind of go through some of the things I like, some of the things I don't like, and compare it with my Specialized Athos, which I have, which is, geometry-wise, it's a very similar bike, if not almost bang on. But from a ride quality perspective, this bike is going to be very different. So let's get started and kind of show what the Specialized Comp Tarmac SL7 is all about. So as you know, the bread and butter of most bikes here, obviously the drivetrain and the wheel set, in addition to the frame and whatnot. But for this guy, it's a full SRAM rival build, which is their ETAP Axis 12-speed 2x12. Super reliable with the disc brake setup. I'm currently on the Force version of this group set on my Athos Pro, which I've had no issues with, other than the front derailleur can be a little finicky, but not a big deal as long as you kind of periodically monitor it. I'm really excited to take a look at the rival version of this and kind of check it out. So to start things off in the front, we've got a beautiful rival metal aluminum crankset. Now on this guy, the key thing to remember here is you are getting the same shifting and performance as the higher end group sets, sans the carbon crank, so you are getting the aluminum. The spindle can be replaced with a power meter if need be for a pretty reasonable price. I think it's like 350 bucks or something. The front derailleur is basically the same design as what's on the Athos, or sorry, the Force as well as the Red. Shifts very similar from my initial reaction to it. Shares the same batteries as well, interchangeable front to back. Coming stock on the chainrings is a 48-35 mix, which is right in the middle of the lineup for these guys. I believe you can get both a smaller range as well as a higher range, so that to me is a smart starting point on a bike of this level. In the back end of the bike, we have the Sram rival rear derailleur, which, like I said, is the 2x12, or this guy would be the 12. Nothing too crazy here. You know, the shifting performance of this is right on par with Force and Red from what I've read online, other than a few of the parts here. The cage as well as some of the little bits and pieces aren't as high end, so that typically means they're not carbon, which to me is fine as long as the shifting is on par and the durability is just fine. The Cassette is your standard SRAM rival cassette, in that is, I believe, a 1036, so it is the larger range. This guy is pinned together in multiple pieces, so it's going to be heavier. And in terms of the parts of this group set that are on the short list to be replaced will be this cassette, just because it's got some weight to it. This will probably spend some time on the Wahoo trainer to use it up and burn it off, but that is me. It's not necessarily you. It's going to be fine. It's got all the same performance as the Force and Red, other than it's going to be a little bit louder. And just remember, with this cassette, there are different ranges available. This is 10 tooth on the bottom, 36 tooth on top, which is the big guy. You can go down to 33 or even a 28 tooth top, just depending on the kind of range you're looking to get out of it. So braking duties handled by the SRAM rival hydraulic disc brakes, which is nothing new. They're fantastic. They're actually not even that much heavier than the Force or Red. You still have the top loading pads, which means you can put new replacement pads in without having to actually take the wheel off. And speaking of the wheel coming off, it's a 12 by 142 mil through axle. Nice and countersunk here. Looks fantastic. Nice stiff rear end. Nothing too crazy. Here's another shot of the other side of the crankset where you have the adjustable preload. I really like this with SRAM in that you're not constantly having to add spacers to kind of use up the bearing slop. You can just kind of loosen this off and then slide it. I believe this one goes clockwise to kind of just tighten up the gap. Super simple solution to a pretty rudimentary problem. On the front, we have the same brakes as the rear, so that SRAM rival hydraulic disc looks great. Nothing too crazy. Top loading, flat mount, looks great. On to the wheels and tires here. So we've got a DT Swiss R470 rim with the Specialized Turbo Pro Gripton. I believe these guys are 700 by 26C, could be wrong, but they feel and look like they're 26C. Anything that I've had previous experience with DT, they're known for their hubs, and then, as you know, they added their rims side of the business later. Their rims have been pretty solid. It's an aluminum wheel set, cost effective, value oriented. you know, the width seems good. They do come set up taped for tubeless, which is awesome if you want to change the rubber to tubeless or keep them running tubes. So super good value there. Let's take a look at the hub. So simple branding on the hubs, nothing. So there's no labeling on them, so I don't know if it's DT or if it's a Formula house brand. The main thing here as well is that the rotors are in fact center lock, which means that you can in fact change these guys to, you know, some Sram stuff if you want to save a lot of weight. But super easy to take on and off if you want to change the size, etc. Really good standard to have. As far as the cockpit goes, we've got a standard Tarmac aluminum stem. This guy is the same across the line other than the bolts on the front do change ever so slightly, I think, from steel to titanium, nothing too crazy. This is not a place you want to save weight. Just because, you know, you change to a carbon stem and for what? You're asking for problems. So I'm sticking with aluminum and likely changing the bar. We've got a 40, or I guess it'd be a 440 mil aluminum round bar. This will likely get changed to like a Rapide carbon bar with the arrow setup. Nothing too crazy. The Super Cas tape is a nice little addition. Fun fact on this tape, I believe the son of Mike Sinyard actually owns this company, which is why a lot of the Specialized bikes come with this Super Cas super sticky tape. But I've had it on my Athos. It works great. No issues whatsoever. In fact, I have already gone out and bought another roll of this stuff for when I need to use it again. So like that. And obviously the bar is what it is. It's an aluminum bar. It's not going to be the best. It's not going to be the worst. Good value. Now, at the time of launching this video here or recording it, I know Specialized has just gone through a big recall on the internal routing, bringing cables down from your brake and, well, your brake lines through this kind of middle steer tube here. This guy has been fixed right out of the box. It's factory taken care of. I had the shop actually take a look at that for me, but non-issue. I don't know why people are making such a big deal out of it. The Derailleur riders of the world. To me, it's very basic. It's just a quick little replacement and you're off to the races. So the frame itself is made of that 10R carbon, which if anyone knows anything about Specialized, in this Tarmac SL7, they have a 10R as well as a 12R. The 12R is reserved for their S-Works branded frames, but just keep in mind the molds that these frames use are identical. So you still have the aero gains that you can get in the Comp, the Expert, the Pro models, in the 10R Weave. It's identical. So, you know, to me, it's a no-brainer to get the Comp model and then upgrade as you wear things out. Or if you want to spend a little extra and get, you know, a different wheel set off the hop or, you know, different saddles or whatever, you know, it's the same frame. So that's why for me, this guy's a bit of a project build, but I think the Comp colors look fantastic. As you can see here, it's kind of a matte navy, blackish turquoise, you know, as you can kind of see in the stays here with the light hitting it. It looks great. This is going to be a sharp bike in the sunlight. And to kind of just show off that nice little Fact 10R carbon, we have it listed here on the frame. Looks pretty sharp. Designed in California, Fact 10 Carbon 10R. Looks great. So on the seat post front, we can see it's an S-Works carbon seat post in that Fact Carbon 10R weave. We've got a junction box up top for if you want to run Di2, etc. So on the back of the post, we can see it is labeled with numbers. So if you want to mark where your seat post is, if you're traveling, etc., it is quite nice to have that. As well, we can see kind of some S-Works sticker as we work up towards the junction box, which looks really, really sharp. Really quality design of this post. I like the fact that it is a standard bolt that kind of goes left to right through the seat post itself versus the Athos, which is more of a Thompson style. This will be easy to kind of change out. I think on the back of the frame, that Tarmac logo looks super, super sharp. That, you know, you're looking at this as you're riding behind a guy and you know that they're going to be pulling away. This looks really, really good. As well, that top seal here, you can kind of just see it in the frame, you know, to kind of keep things nice and smooth and rattle free. Man, this is a looker. So, and then onto the fork in the front here, we can see a nice little Specialized logoing on the side, and then the internal routing of the brake hose for the front that comes down from the other side. Really, really smart. Looks great, and I'm almost kind of curious if that Specialized branding is reflective. It might not be, might not have to be. I just think it looks really sharp and stands out from the crowd. And then on the head tube, you have that nice little S logo in that same paint color. So, you know, it really pops out from the Comp color of that navy kind of turquoise look, that matte. It really pops out, which looks fantastic, and leads down to the Specialized logo on the bottom of the down tube. So Man, what a looker. I'm in love with this color so far, and what a value proposition it brings. And then onto the front here as well, we have the internal routing that goes from the brake lines through and down into the head tube, which I kind of discussed earlier that there was a recall on this, but it has been since rectified and is no longer a problem. So overall, we've got a really sharp looking package here. Same frame that comes in the S-Works line, same mold, so it's the same design in that 10R weave versus 12R, and that, like I said, is the same in the Comp, the Expert, and the Pro frame set. It's all the frame, just different paint, all the same frame, just different paint. And then, really good value build with that SRAM Rival group set. It's Axis, no wires, super easy setup. You're getting the same technology that comes in the Force as well as the Red group set, so good value all around. Who's this bike for? Well, I think it's for somebody that is either getting into the sport and kind of wants to know, what a good solid foundation race bike is that can kind of grow with the parts, grow with the angles and whatnot. It's not going to change a whole lot for the SL8 variety. It's already really light, really good value build on this guy. The riding characteristics, it's a little more firm than the Athos, but at the same time, it's quite comfortable. The angles are the same, so you can get upright and do a nice 100-mile ride without hurting your back. As well, if you want to slam the front stem down and get into a crit, you can do that with this guy too. It's super responsive and stiff in the back end with a through axle in the back as well as the through axle in the fork. It's just a fantastic racing platform. It's got the aerodynamic benefits that Specialized claims is one bike to rule them all. So that means it's light, it's fast, and it's aero. It's it's like a bit of a unicorn, which I guess some of the unicorn highlights in the paint, which is kind of funny. But I think this is a great bike. I'm really excited to get out on it, ride it, and give you my thoughts. So if you have any questions, leave them below. Otherwise, like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. And until next time, we'll chat with you later.